So earlier this week, I was scrolling through YouTube looking for a video and I saw something that came across my feed. It was a community post of two people who I haven't seen in well over a decade. Beavis and Butthead. For y'all who don't know, Beavis and Butthead were two characters from the show Beavis and Butthead off of MTV. It came out during the 90s and it dipped into the early 2000s. I used to watch a lot of reruns of it when I was a kid, and the show was pretty popular. They ended up getting a movie. They also got a spin-off, with Daria. They ended up getting a reboot back in like 2011. But outside of that and the reruns, I haven't heard of anything Beavis and Butthead related since I was in like middle school. I am 24 years old now, so you can imagine my surprise when I not only see Beavis and Butthead in 2025, but I see that they're going to be operators in Call of Duty. Now, me upon seeing this, I'm like, what the hell? What does Beavis and Butthead have to do with COD? And I've been a little out of touch with the COD scene for a couple years now, but I feel like I'm in tune enough to know that this doesn't make sense. And then it hit me. Yes, the fuck it does. The last few years of Call of Duty have been a complete shift in personality and tone. The Call of Duty games that I grew up playing are very different than the games that are coming out now. And I might sound like I'm reaching, but I think a lot of that stems from Fortnite. When I look at the formula they created with their Battle Pass system, and I look at how Call of Duty has basically done the exact same thing, Battle Pass included, I can't help but put the blame on Fortnite. Obviously not on the grounds of they're the ones who made them do this shit, but on the grounds of these are the people who the Call of Duty developers took their influence from. The multiplayer portion of the game is so different. The microtransactions, the battle passes, the operators, all of that stems from Fortnite. I'm going to try and break it down like this. For the beginning of its time as a game, Fortnite always tended to use original characters made specific for each season. Now, as the game got more and more popular, that's when they started adding skins that are more known in pop culture. People like Marshmallow, Black Widow, and John Wick. Now that was just for chapter 1. They still had original characters made for the game, but that's when they started to dip into other pools. They went to the DC side and got Batman and Catwoman, and they also dipped into Borderlands. But that was it for the most part. Come chapter 2 of Fortnite, that's when they started going overboard with the skins. That entire season was Star Wars themed. Not characters that they created based off of Star Wars, but of actual Star Wars characters. And you know what? Maybe I wasn't as detailed in the amount of collaborations they had with Chapter 1 because there were still a number of other collaborations that they had, but I feel like Chapter 2 is when they started to do a little too much. That's when you started seeing Star Wars characters, other Marvel superheroes, and more characters outside of Fortnite being introduced to Fortnite. Now, how does this relate to Call of Duty? Call of Duty has been following trends for a pretty long time. I go back to the days of Black Ops 4. They took the hero shooter system from Overwatch and reworked it in a way to work for Call of Duty. They tried it like a year or two prior with Infinite Warfare and kind of Black Ops 3 by allowing you to pick a character with their own special abilities, but then they went completely overboard with BO4. BO4 can be classified as a hero shooter. Not only does each character have their own abilities, but they also have their own special and lethal grenades. The only thing you could really customize were your guns. Now granted, they kind of fixed it a little bit with the Modern Warfare that came out the year after in 2019. They got rid of the whole hero shooter shit. None of those abilities were there in the game. They found their footing again. However, 2019 was the same year where Fortnite started doing collaborations with other companies. This is when Fortnite started to get that boom in popularity that it had. Now, fast forward in 2025, I feel like Fortnite is less known for it being a battle royale and is now more known for its collaborations. Every season, every chapter, it was a new introduction. And I feel like after that, Call of Duty, seeing how popular Fortnite was and all the collaborations they had, they decided to do the exact same thing with with their multiplayer. So much so that as of now in 2025, they completely shifted their priorities. As a kid, I feel like the main selling point for Call of Duty games was the campaign. That's the main reason why I liked it. I love the stories told throughout the games. Nowadays, it's not like that. Multiplayer is its selling point. And a lot of the love and detail that they put into the stories of the past, they're now putting into the online services. That's why when you fucking pick up a Call of Duty game, the first thing that happens is you get ads and microtransactions pushed into your face. You won't even get the chance to go to campaign first. You go to multiplayer. That's its main advertisement. And with that comes the skins. They've been using the operator system for a while, but when it comes to collaborations with celebrities or just having skins of characters from other games or movies, I feel like that's more of a recent thing within the last 3 or 4 years. With all of that being said, I feel like Call of Duty has lost its identity in a way. The priority of multiplayer, microtransactions, the skins, the fucking colorful laser bullets you be seeing in these games. I don't really understand the point of these games anymore. Like, I think the closest thing we had to a collaboration in Call of Duty games was, I think the first one was Ghosts. Because that one, for multiplayer, you can get Snoop Dogg as an announcer. But that was really it. I didn't start noticing these Seth Rogen skins running around the map till like, what, last year? And for the people who haven't played COD in a while, I swear to God, Seth Rogen is in the game. Seth Rogen, The Terminator, Nicki Minaj, and now, fast forward to today, Beavis and Butthead. Oh shit, I almost forgot. They also had characters from The Walking Dead, which is a relatively adult show, but at the same time, what do these characters have to do with Call of Duty? Outside of them, they also had characters from The Boys like Homelander and Black Noir. They had WWE wrestlers like Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley. And the cherry on the top, they had Skeletor as an operator. He-Man Skeletor. Like, when you get the chance, look at the list of operators that they've gotten from like outside of Call of Duty. It'll blow your fucking mind. The only one I ever truly agreed with was Rambo. Kinda. But in a way, he also plays into the point that I'm trying to make. Call of Duty has become so multiplayer preoccupied that I feel like they're steering closer and closer away from their identity. I haven't sat down and truly enjoyed the story mode for Call of Duty in years. Like, when I look back at the era of Call of Duty games that I used to like consistently play for its campaign, I think it stopped with World War II. I made an exception for Modern Warfare 2019 because there was a lot of hype around it, and I really did enjoy the story. But after that, I don't really care for Call of Duty campaigns anymore. The only reason I played Modern Warfare 2's campaign, and I'm gonna add Modern Warfare 3 into there too, was because I was doing reviews for those games at the time. If I didn't have a YouTube channel, I wouldn't have played those stories. And it's really because I don't feel like they matter anymore. And that's because they're not treated like they do. I feel like if they cut back on the amount of attention that they've given multiplayer and put it on the story for Call of Duty's campaign and had just a really solid multiplayer experience, I think they'd be fine. Like, I can't speak for everybody, but for me personally, I'm not really a fan of Warzone. I know that kind of started with BO4's Blackout, where they started doing the whole Battle Royale thing, which once again is another thing that they copied from Fortnite, which popularized it during that time. And it stuck around for a lot of years, but I don't really see the point of it. I feel like that should have been a one-time thing with the game that they introduced it in. I'm pretty sure it was Modern Warfare. Warzone, I mean, not Blackout. Like, the way they treat Warzone, and multiplayer in general, is equivalent to the way 2K treats The Park, or for modern games, City. It's like once they first introduced it in the games and they saw that it worked, they just kept it and attached it to every single COD that came after. So much so that they're giving it its own space now. If you don't want to play Call of Duty as a whole, you can just download Warzone. As I said, I can't speak for everybody. I'm sure there's a lot of people who enjoy it and are having fun with it. It's just me personally, I can't get down with it. Tried it, didn't like it, felt like if I wanted to play a proper battle royale, I'd just stick to Fortnite. And to kind of go back with what I said about the campaign, I want to go back to Modern Warfare 2019's. I think the reason why I have an exception for that one, I feel like that's like the best COD that the series has had within the last 6 years, mainly because of its campaign. The multiplayer was really good too, as I said, really great bonus. But for me, what really caught me was the campaign. I remember at the time there's a lot of hype and controversy around it due to certain missions people felt were too much for the game. And I was really excited for it. And when I played it, I felt like the story lived up to my expectations. It was very grounded, very dark and gritty. That game as a whole, in comparison to the games that came after, was pretty grounded. And it was very reminiscent of the Call of Duties that I played when I was younger. I go back and I think of Black Ops or the other Modern Warfares, you know, the original, or even World at War, and I just get this weird feeling of, well, obviously nostalgia, but also a feeling of uncomfort. Like, let's go back and look at the World at War opening. Call of Duty World at War opened up with you and your squad mate being captured and tortured. Like, the man literally burned a cigar into the eye of your squad mate because you wouldn't give him the information that he wanted, and then ended with him getting his throat slit. And right before the same thing could happen to you, the rest of your squad intervene and save y'all. Well, your friend died. But that was just the first minute of the game. And don't get it fucked up, the multiplayer for World at War was just as fun. But what stuck with you the most after you played it was the campaign. It's not like that anymore. The tone is completely different. Like, the Call of Duty games today feel so much more childish, and all of that stems from the developers of the game losing its identity by trying to take from other games like Overwatch or Fortnite. Rather than being themselves and doing what made them fun to begin with, they saw other games that were popular at the time and they decided to copy them. And in my opinion, this is just my theory, I think the reason why they did that was because after Ghosts, Call of Duty was in a pretty weird place. They had a very good run between the early 2000s and the very early 2010s, a run that ended with Black Ops 2. But once they released Ghosts, the series started to go downhill. The game started to become more hit or miss, they started to lose their reputation, and I feel as time went on, when they saw these other games that were popular for whatever reason, they took the aspects that they felt made those games popular and they put it onto Call of Duty. That's why you have battle passes. That's why at one point in time, between Black Ops 3 and I want to say Black Ops 4, those were classified as hero shooters. You had the different operator system that gave different characters abilities. That's why every other week or month you see or hear Call of Duty having a collaboration with the fucking, I don't know, Powerpuff Girls, and you see Mojo Jojo running down the street with an AK blasting at people. That's why you got Beavis and Butthead running around shooting people and doing Fortnite dances. Can you imagine how embarrassing that is? Imagine you're playing a game of Call of Duty. You haven't played in like 10 years, all right? You haven't played in a decade. You hop on multiplayer and you get shot by Butthead. And then Beavis runs around the corner, tucks his head into the shirt and yells, "You just got shot. You must bleed for the great Cornholio." Like, what the fuck is this? At the end of the day, it's just a video game, all right? You can't get too upset. You know, they're a video game company. They're trying to make money. I get it, I guess. I just don't understand why this had to happen to COD. And maybe it's just not for me. You know, as I said, I haven't really been too in touch with the series these last few years. More so on a personal level and less on a content level. I'm just confused as to how they got here. Because when you think about it, like low-key, Call of Duty is doing shit that kind of helped kill Saints Row. What killed Saints Row is them forgetting their identity and leaning more into the dumb shit. But the difference between Saints Row and COD is that Saints Row had a competitor, which is Grand Theft Auto. Call of Duty doesn't really have that. They had Battlefield at one point in time. That was like their biggest competitor, but eventually they died off. They don't have the reputation that they used to have either. I hear they're coming out with a new Battlefield though. 2042 came out, what, like 4 or 5 years ago? So let's see what they do different. I mean, 2042 at launch was a pretty big disaster, so hopefully they learned a lesson. But hey, that's all I gotta say about this Call of Duty thing. That's just my opinion. I wanted to make this kind of quick because I'm still working on my Gears of War video, and I'm still trying to work on my college football 25 video, but I just wanted to get this out the way because, as I said previously, I'm trying to stay more consistent. Then I feel like this is something that I can make content out of, so I'm gonna go work on those 2 videos. As I said, I hope y'all enjoy this quick Call of Duty video. I'll see y'all in the next one, and I'm out.